As the countdown continues for the August 11th Democratic primary runoff election, the battle's heating up for the Fulton County District Attorney seat. Incumbent Paul Howard battling opponent Fani Willis, who previously worked in his office as a deputy chief prosecutor. In the June 9th primary, Willis led with 42% of the vote, followed by Howard. A third candidate, Christian Wise, has since dropped out and endorsed Howard. In an exclusive interview with 11 Live's Neima Abdulahi, Howard talks about the close race. He also addresses a GBI investigation alleging he misused funding to supplement his salary.
Thank you so much for joining us. You are running again for District Attorney of Fulton County for the 7th time. You've held that position since 1997. How is this time different than previous times? I'm sure the state of the nation has changed and evolved, and our county has also changed and evolved.
We've got to do something about policing in our communities. The death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, they've triggered a nerve in our communities. And I think this election is different because I think that what people are asking us to do, since the DA is the gatekeeper of the criminal justice system, is to become an important part of that change.
You are running against Fani Willis. She's endorsed by Atlanta Police Union and former Atlanta mayor candidate Mary Norwood. How do you guys differ from your opinion, and what do you think about her endorsements from the Atlanta Police Union?
Mary Norwood is inviting Republicans to take Democratic ballots and to vote in this election. I don't think that that's appropriate for the Republicans to try to influence an election. When the police union endorses the DA, what that indicates is that the DA will not prosecute policemen. And I don't think it's appropriate for DAs to accept endorsements or funding from police unions.
And during election season, we can always expect things to surface, right? With the GBI investigation that surfaced where there was an alleged use of nonprofit funds to supplement your salary. Let's also address that.
Be happy to, because this happened in 2014, I believe. I asked the chief appellate person in my office to tell me whether or not I could receive a salary from the city of Atlanta, salary supplement. And finally, I met with the mayor, asking them for a salary supplement from the city of Atlanta. They agreed that it was my work had justified my receiving it. Well, I don't really care about what form of investigation takes place. As long as it's truthful, I believe at the end, I would be totally exonerated, because what I did is what Americans do all the time. We ask for pay raises, pay increases, and that's what I asked for. That's what the city of Atlanta sent over based upon the work that I had performed for the city.
Well, tonight at 11 on Up Late on 11 Alive, Howard will discuss the Rayshard Brooks case, his decision to quickly charge the officer, something that drew criticism, whether it was a political move or the best decision. And later on this week, you'll hear from candidate Fani Willis on our air as she discusses her campaign. Fulton